Good evening, Mr. President. Please, Nigeria, we don't need any Ministry of Livestock Development to stop the invasion of farmland by terrorists masquerading as herdsmen. You know, this narrative that we have farmers-herders clash is not only unfortunate, but a misapplication of the reality that is happening in Nigeria. What we have is not farmers-herders clash. What we have is criminal terrorist invasion of farmland by terrorists and bandits masquerading as herdsmen. Anyway, that is by the way. Mr. President, we don't need Minister of Livestock Development under the public sector to drive agro-development in Nigeria. We don't need any convoluted arrangement that panders to political correctness to fix this land. Already, the public sector workforce is overbloated, ministries are overbloated. The number of ministries in Nigeria should not even more than 8. What do we do for us to ensure food stability, for us to ensure agro-development? Mr. President, we must drive it through an all-inclusive nations, community, diaspora, private-public partnership arrangement. Public sector arrangements, wholly public sector driven, they will not work. And what do we do? Mr. President, Nigeria is not the only country where we have animal husbandry. In fact, if you come to Africa, Nigeria is actually number 5 in terms of countries that have cow population. Ethiopia, Sudan, and other countries, they have an agro-pastoral arrangement that is wholly private sector driven. There is no government funding. There is no even public sector ministry for it. Go and cross-check. And they are doing this thing, and they are developing, and they are thriving. Netherlands has 1.6 million cows in 18,350 dairy centers, wholly private sector driven, processing factories. And annually, from that sector alone, Netherlands employs 7,000 people and creates. In fact, in 2023 alone, Mr. President, Netherlands exported 12 billion euro worth of eggs and dairy products, cheese and milk. Netherlands exported 11 billion euros of beef, 1.6 million cows. There is nothing like Minister of Livestock Affairs in Netherlands. What do we do in Nigeria, Mr. President? Don't allow those who you have surrounded yourself with to misdirect you or to play to political correctness or to political gallery. Proverbs 25 verse 5 says, if you surround a king with wicked men, no matter the good intention, the king will rule wickedly. But if you surround a king with men who are wise like Joseph, men who are wise and honest like Shadrach, Daniel, Meshach, and Abednego, the king will rule well, even if his intentions are not good. And that is the truth. Now, what do we do? Mr. President, we just need to do this simple thing. It's going to be wholly missions, community, diaspora, private, public funded arrangements. What do we do? Set up. The North has that 64 million hectares of arable land. Arable land that we can utilize to do agro-pastoral arrangement. Mr. President, all we just need is just to carve out only 1.5 million hectares of land. Create clusters of 600 hectares each in 2,500 centers under a private-public partnership arrangement. This 700 hectares land, we will have 500 hectares of maize, sorghum, and foliage farm to be able to provide enough food for the cows that will be housed there. Each center will house 5,500 cows under an agro-pastoral arrangement. Under the private-public partnership. Afro-Exim will fund it. African Development Bank will fund it. Even other development agencies will fund it because it's going to create massive jobs. We are going to create over 6 million jobs in those centers. We will have 5,500 cows in each center. We will have 100 hectares of date palm plantation. All you need to do is to provide solar power within those clusters, provide industrial irrigation to allow that place have water and everything and the facilities, and then provide in every cluster 100 agro rangers that will be fully trained and equipped maximally. under the supervision of the National Security Advisor. That will give us 250,000 agro rangers that will be properly paid. We will pay them nothing less than 150,000 under a PPP arrangement. The revenue that will come from those centers will fund them. Mr. President, let me tell you what we'll do. We will do this. What will basically happen is that from each center, we'll be able to produce annually over 4.2 million tons of maize. The maize stock and silage will be processed to become animal feed. If from these clusters, Mr. President, will be able to produce about 2.5 million tons of date fruit. Mr. President, for your record, when Bible talks about a land flowing with milk and honey, Bible was talking about a land that has rich dairy production, milk, and date fruit. The date fruit is what the Bible refers to as honey, not the honey from the bee. And from each of these clusters, we have these 2,500 clusters will be able to house 13.755 million cows. Rather than having nomadic kwashoko cows that do not produce milk, we will crossbreed them with the Holstein, with the Fraser species, so that we'll be able to generate enough milk. Mr. President, from these 13 million centers, 13 million cows, we'll be able to produce at least 6 billion, over 12 billion liters of milk every 6 months. We'll be able to produce at least 2 million tons of cheese. Mr. President, from these clusters alone, we generate nothing less than $100 billion annually. You don't need Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Livestock, this thing to do this. Then get the governors to ban open grazing. When these centers are, and Mr. President, set up these centers will not take us more than 6 months. We have developed a strategic work plan, a whole document on how this thing can be executed, the time it will be executed, what will be required, when it will be done, who will be responsible, and how the funds will be sourced. Wholly private sector led, missions, community, diaspora, private, public partnership arrangement. This is the easiest way out. Mr. President, you don't need Ministry of Livestock to create agro wealth in Nigeria. 2,500 agro-industrial parks across selected centers, across local government areas in the north. Each of these centers, we have 5,500 cows. In fact, those cows will produce enough poo-poo that can biodigest to produce organic fertilizer and provide enough biogas to even fire biogas fire turbines that will produce power. Mr. President, we can even introduce very big flies there to enable us do what we call maggot production, that will enable us produce feed for poultry and feed for fish, feed for poultry and feed for fish. Those centers will become centers of excellence, agro-industrial parks, wealth creation. We will create 6 million jobs. We will have 250,000 agro rangers.